Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He's a future focused SEO veteran, no other than Mr. TJ Robertson.
Hi. Thanks for
Well,
having me, Daniel.
welcome to Book 101, Mr. TJ. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
Sure thing. Yeah, I've been doing digital marketing since 2009, mostly search engine optimization, but recently really focused on AI optimization. I think that's the way everything's going. We're all using ChatGPT now, and I think Google has already kind of shown us that they're also going to be moving their traditional search into more of an AI experience. And so I just help businesses get recommended by algorithms as we rely more and more on algorithms to make all of our decisions for us.
Mr. Tj Robertson. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And let's talk about why 90% of marketing agency will fail in the next 3 years. So beyond competition, what is the single most critical structural weakness like profit model, client dependency, or talent dooming at traditional agencies?
Yeah, so maybe we could start by just talking about the most typical model for marketing agencies up until now, which has been you have an owner or founder. Maybe this person is a marketing expert, maybe they just know how to run a business, and their goal is to scale. So they're offering digital marketing services to as many clients as possible at a low rate, right? And so to do this, you need to train your team on how to do digital marketing tasks. So you're going to bring on someone that writes content, and you bring on someone that builds websites, and each person is trained on just how to do their task, and then you repeat it over and over again, right? So you bring on a client, they get the same set of services, everyone does the tasks for that client, and they go up in rankings, or they get more traffic through Google ads or social media ads. This worked really well for a long time, and the agencies that were able to figure out the right strategies to move the needle were able to be really profitable. But things are changing now, as most people are probably noticing, and that's largely because of AI. Digital marketing, I think, has been more disrupted than any other industry, for a couple different reasons. One is a lot of these tactics or strategies that different team members in the agency are trained on can now be done just very easily by AI. So this started with ChatGPT, right? Digital marketing agencies tend to employ writers, or at least they did. And these writers aren't experts on a topic, they're not prolific writers, they're just professional writers that create website content or blog content for any business. They do this by just going online, like Google, learning about the topic they're going to write on, and then essentially regurgitating what they learned. And if anyone who's familiar with ChatGPT is going to be familiar with that cadence, because that's exactly what ChatGPT does, but it does it faster, cheaper, and now really better. And so almost overnight, almost all those writers went out of work. Some of them did learn how to use the models, and they were able to just write more content. But we don't need 90% of those content writers anymore, which is it's unfortunate, and it's going to come for more and more of our jobs. Now we're seeing the same thing happen with website design. We're seeing a lot of SEO tasks be completely taken away by AI. But yet there's still a lot of marketing agencies out there trying to follow this same model, still charging $500 for a blog post, or still trying to build websites without AI processes, do SEO with AI processes. So those marketing agencies are in trouble. They don't have the right business model. But the other reason is because the way we find information is changing. So the way people search is changing. We're much more likely to go something like ChatGPT. The companies that show up on there aren't always the same companies that show up in search engines, and we could talk about the differences there if you want. Um, but a lot of agencies aren't paying attention to that. They're just saying, hey, as long as you rank in search engines, the AIs use search engines, and so you're going to be fine. And they're not adapting quick enough. And even though SEO has always changed quickly, it's never changed this quickly. And so I think it's really hard now, especially if you're a bigger agency, to keep up with the changes, to implement processes, especially if you're just one person trying to dictate this top down. You can't train your team as fast as things change. And so, really, the winners are the smaller, agile consultants and the small percentage of agencies that really are completely changing their business model so they can keep up.
Very well said, Mr. TJ. Very well said. Beautifully, beautifully articulated. Why are so many agencies operationally profitable but strategically bankrupt? How does the revenue
Mm.
vanity mask the failed business model flaws?
Yeah, I think a lot of agencies are going to continue being profitable for a while. It is painful to change agencies. So if you're a business and you've been with an agency for 5 years, even if you start to think, hey, maybe they're not doing a great job, maybe they're not keeping up, the prospect of leaving that agency who now has access to all your accounts, you might not even know how to edit your own website. You might not know how they're bringing you leads. And now you have to go out, you have to find a new agency, you have to start over. This agency already knows how you work, they know your industry. A lot of clients will just stay with that agency. It has to get pretty bad a lot of the times before they leave. Also, as an agency, it's really easy to convince your clients that things are going well. This is just like an unfortunate truth, and it's a reason why there's a lot of scam and a lot of distrust in digital marketing. Is that it's easy whenever you're dealing with data to cherry pick data that looks good, and when you're dealing with unpredictable things like search engines, it's really easy, even when the data looks bad, to say, oh, there was nothing we could do about that. Google changed something in their algorithm. This stuff happens, but you're still better off than you would have been. It's just something we couldn't have avoided. And then when the graph goes up, you take credit for that, right? And so, unfortunately, this is very common. And so, I do think a lot of agencies will coast for a while. Um, but eventually, if you're not putting out results, people are going to learn you can get better results for a lot less money if you're working with an agency that is keeping up, that's using AI to get you results, that's focused on the future. And so what I'm seeing right now, what I'm doing myself, and what a lot of people are doing, is they're just using smaller teams, sometimes teams of one or two, and then they just network with other people that are keeping up with this. And then they don't have to maintain a whole team and retrain everyone every 3 months. They can just keep up themselves, use AI to do a lot of the work that they would have a whole team do. And then as they need specific people for whatever they're not specializing in. So for me, I'll pull in people for website development or for building AI agents. And I know these people are keeping up themselves. I can't keep up with all of it, but they are. And I can pull in the best people for the job, build a little team for each client, and be super agile and deliver much better results.
Better result indeed. That's what we want. Better results. Which specific service offerings, like basic social media management, generic SEO, are becoming functionally obsolete fastest due to AI automation?
That's a good question. There are so none of the tasks themselves are becoming obsolete that I can think of offhand. I mean, there have been things that have become obsolete over the years. Some of those things are actually coming back. For example, press releases used to be really good for SEO, kind of stopped working. Now they're working for AI engines that, for some reason, love to eat up these spammy press releases. But most tactics aren't going away, right? You still want to add meta titles and meta descriptions to your website. You still want to create good page content. Blog posts can work, not as well as they used to, but they're way easier to write. And that's really the trend. Is it's a lot of the same work. We're just doing it way more efficiently now. And so anything that you used to be able to train a VA or an entry level employee to do, you can pretty much give to an AI now. And then you can create an AI workflow. You can you can make a custom GPT or a Claude project. You give it the instructions once, you give it a lot of context, and then it can just repeat the task pretty much instantly for free. So meta titles are a good example of this. There's something called structured data, which goes on website. We used to have to create that manually. AI can handle that no problem. Content isn't isn't as simple as just giving an AI a prompt. If you want to make a nice page of content or a good blog post, AI can do that, but not just from a single prompt. If you go to ChatGPT and you say, write me a blog post about, the 5 reasons to hire a personal injury attorney, you're going to get a very generic blog post that you would not want on your website. But if you give it a 30-page document with everything they could know about this specific client, and you do deep research with AI, and you collect all this data about the topic you're writing on, and you give that to the AI, and you give it a bunch of guidelines as to exactly how to write a good blog post and exact structure it should use, and then you ask for a topic, you can get something that's truly better than anything you ever could have gotten out of a writer 3 years ago. Sounds like it was written by the brand itself. It's structured exactly the way that SEO content should be structured, which is more and more just good content structure. Um, and then you can create that really quickly. And so for a lot of times, you just build this system once, and then you can create blog content, pages at scale. And there is some danger about building content at scale. We could talk about that, but overall, it's a lot of the work can be done very quickly.
Mr. TJ, why do clients increasingly see agency as a vendors rather than strategic partners? How does agency lose their seat at the leadership table?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think in large part, agencies are being commoditized, and I think that's something that agencies need to be aware of. It's getting easier and easier to use AI to do these services, and so if you're not using AI, I think you are in trouble and your days are numbered. If you are using AI, um, there we might be approaching a time where everyone's services are very similar to each other. Now, we don't really know what the future looks like. Right now, there's a big difference between people who use AI well and people who don't use it well. It might stay that way. But if the AI gets more automated, if we're using more and more software, so to speak, to create content, then marketing services will be commoditized. So a good example of this is Facebook. Um, right now, Facebook's AI targeting, like finding the right audience to show your ads to, is already pretty good. Good enough that even the best Facebook advertisers sometimes use the automatic AI targeting. So that's already taken away a lot of human work. Instead of going through and finding who to show ads to, we've given that to AI, or we've almost completely given it to it. What humans still do is the creatives, the images, the videos, the assets you give Facebook ads. So that's where the skill is. But more and more of that is becoming AI generated. And Mark Zuckerberg just last month has said that the goal is that you will go to Facebook ads, you'll say, this is my product, this is my goal, this is my budget, and then everything will be done by AI. It'll create the videos for you, it'll create the images for you, the text for you, the audience targeting. And at that point, a lot of Facebook managers, I think, really will be out of work. Now, will it be as good as the best Facebook managers in the world? No. It's not going to make videos and images as good as the most creative, best advertisers out there, which means there will still be a place for humans creating content. There will still be a place for humans managing campaigns, but the only humans that are better than the AI are going to be the top 1%, which means unless you have the budget to justify paying someone, $300 an hour, $500 an hour, you're going to be better off just using the software. And that's one example with meta ads, but I think the same thing is likely to happen to website development and content, and other forms of marketing. And so it really could get commoditized. And then agencies will have to decide, are they just going to be really efficient at at delivering a commoditized service, maybe with some professional strategy on top? Or can they be one of the top 1% that's actually more valuable than the AI? Um, but that's yet to be seen how that'll actually play out.
Very well said, Mr. TJ. Very well said. And as a future focused SEO veteran, what are your short term and long term goals?
It's really hard to make goals right now because no one knows what it's going to look like. So I'll say short term, right? I mean, every day I'm just trying to learn. So I try to devote time to seeing the experiments that other people are doing. I've been very deliberate in making a tight network of people around me that are intelligent and they're thinking about this and they're experimenting, and we just share the results of our experiments. AI optimization is brand new. We're still kind of trying to figure it out. I think just in the last few weeks, really, we've started to kind of agree on what some of the new best practices are, but those are going to keep changing constantly. And so I can't keep up with all of it. And so I just want to make sure I'm in communities, I'm following people on LinkedIn, and I can see case studies, I can see data, and I can just, tap into the minds of other people that are really keeping up on this, and then just be ready to move. So it's I think a lot of people are probably feeling unsettled right now, really not knowing what the future is going to look like. It's impossible to plan. I seriously have no idea what my day-to-day life is going to look like even 1 year from now, because the world's just going to be changing really fast. I think the next 2 years are going to be more transformative than the last 2 years are, and that's saying something, especially for digital marketing. And so I don't have any kind of solid vision for the future. I just plan on keeping up with this and becoming the person that can guide people through this, as everything changes.
Good luck to your goals, Mister, and looking forward for more and more success. And what would be your piece of advice, Mr. TJ, for those people want to be SEO like you, SEO veteran?
Yeah, it'd be a great time to get into SEO. The nice thing, I've always said this, but it's even more true now. The nice thing about SEO is that it changes so quickly that you can jump into it, and within a few years, you're pretty much caught up because it's changing constantly. So sure, I think there are advantages to having been in it for 16 years, but really, like, I see people coming in all the time, and if you're really hungry to learn and you don't mind that you have to keep learning every day for the rest of your career, SEO is really fun. And I mean, to be honest, I don't know if we'll still call it SEO in a few years, because I don't know if we'll have traditional search engines in a few years. And so it's evolving that quickly. But if you're going to get into it, find other people, find resources. There's so many good YouTube channels out there. And so let's see. Marie Haynes has a great newsletter that I think you should follow. Eli Schwartz has a great newsletter. Kevin Indig. Those are some of them, but it is a really generous community, the SEO community, very willing to share what they know. Lily Ray is another good one. And so, try not to waste all your time on social media, but you probably do want to be on at least one of these social media platforms. Try to find a Discord community or two. Reddit has a great SEO subreddit and a local SEO subreddit, and just really, like, get yourself tapped in. Start asking the dumb questions, and I think you'll be surprised how willing people are to give you information, tell you what's working. You'll also find that there's a lot of disagreement among SEOs, but if you just keep asking, you'll start to kind of see similarities. Latch onto those things that everyone agrees on, because that's really what you can be confident is working.
Well, thank you for your advice, Mr. TJ. And can you please recommend a book that influenced your journey?
Yeah, I just reread The Dip by Seth Godin. So I love Seth Godin. I read this book when it came out. I think it was like 2007, right when I was starting my first agency, or right before I did. It was probably 2008, actually. Um, and he talks about among other things, he talks about the importance of being number one in what you do. And I think that's relevant now more than ever. Like I was saying before, if you're not one of the best in the world at what you do, then AI is going to be able to do it better soon. And so, not everyone can be the best, but if you find a niche that fits well and is small enough, you can be the best in that niche. So, decide what your skill set is, decide what you enjoy, find a niche that feels about as big as your ambitions, and then focus on becoming number one. And don't go after anything unless you can be number one. And then, because really, that's where all the rewards go. And especially as AI starts to commoditize the other 99%, you want to be one of the ones that people look to. So pick one niche, one industry, one focus, get really good at it, and you're going to be set for the future.
Yes, and thank you for that recommended book, Mr. TJ. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well, geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast Law 101 and Mental Health 101, Love Letters in third season, and Movie 101 Review, Music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. Mr. TJ, if an agency owner hears this and feels exposed, what is the one operational metric they should analyze tomorrow to diagnose their risk level?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that. If someone's feeling exposed, you mean just like to the risks of AI?
Yes, if the operational thinking that we are going down, people, so what we gonna do and how to
Mm-hmm.
diagnose their risk level?
Yeah, that's yet to be seen for sure. But I can say the one thing I think the one thing everyone should be doing is creating a lot of content. Is because the AI, as everyone knows, needs content. It's gobbling up everything on the internet. So make sure you're putting everything there is to know about your company on your website. You should have a lot of FAQs. You should be talking about your team member experience. You should be talking about everything there is to know about every product and service on your website. Don't leave anything off of there because the LLMs will crawl all of it and they will repeat it back to people. And then try to get content off your website too. Social media is blowing up. The AIs love it. Get involved in forums. I think the best way to do content is video. It's why I'm doing podcasts like this. Find some way to get video of you talking. Video is literally the only way to actually build trust without one-on-one interactions. And the algorithms love it. You can put it out on every video platform. You can take that transcript, repurpose it into blog content and forum content and newsletters. And it's just the most efficient way to get high leverage outreach for both social media and for the large language models.
Mr. TJ Robertson, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your projects, or anything that you are doing right now?
Yeah, you can find what I'm doing at tjrobertson.com. And I'm happy to do a free audit for anyone with a marketing budget.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. TJ Robertson because if you support him more and more and more, empowering coaching to come, and for sure, more and more empowering advocacy to come. So, Mr. TJ, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel.
More to come, people. See you soon.